want it to look in order for them to say, hey, that looks like a place I can come and fit in. Mm-hmm. All right? And it's not an evil thing for your church to look like it's not appealing to youth because it appeals to who you appeal to. But it is a concern that needs to be addressed if young people are not coming. Because if you say you want them, then you have to do what it takes to draw them. And that means getting out of our usual routine, comfort zone, and not only but stop only catering to the same people all the time. Because people, including Christians, as human beings first, we like to congregate with people who are like us.
All right, say that.
And so as a result, on the other end of that, on the other end of drawing people who are like you, you alienate people who are not like you.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And Paul said it this way, I become all things to all people so that I can what? Save a few of them.
Yes.
So the flip side of that statement means I can't save certain folks if I don't learn how to become, or at least learn who they are and how they are and what attracts them.
Yeah.
He said, I've been to the Jew, I became like a Jew. To the Gentile, I became like a Gentile. I ain't a Gentile, but I'm gonna learn how to act like it. I'm gonna at least learn what registers with them. All right? Because at the end of the day, everybody as human beings, we're looking for people to connect with us. We should not tell ourselves the lie that we're open to everybody.
Amen.
When we walk into a room, most of us, not all of us, we're looking for something that speaks to us.
That's true.
We're looking for our own sense of comfort first. And then, when we feel comfortable, then we can see about somebody else. But our first inkling is to see how this setting, this ministry, this group, this effort, how is it going to accommodate me? And so in order to reach other people, you've got to get on their side of the fence and ask yourself that same thing. What is it that they're looking for? More than what satisfies me, more than what I like, more than what I can go home and say, yeah, we sure had a good time. Because for everybody who had a good time, and this is the dynamic of people, for everybody who had a good time, there's some group that did not. All right? So let me move through this here. What kind of church are you? And what is the youth's perception of your church? Is it a youth-friendly church? Is it a kind church? Is it a church that they see are loving, accepting? Is it a church that they see or at least perceive? And the key word is perceive, because perception is not always reality, but people see you a certain way based off how they process things. Is their perception that you're snooty and stuck up? That you really ain't stunned about them? You really don't want to hear what they got to say? You don't care how they feel, what they've been going through? Because people will size you up without knowing you, and they think you don't care nothing about them, but you hadn't demonstrated that in a real way.
Well, see, you got to be a people person.
That's right.
You got to make sure as a leader that you put the right people in the right place. And that's what children look for.
That's right.
They just like you sizing them up. When you walk in, they size
You up. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it's more important to give attention to what they think of you than what you think of them.
Right.
Because they ain't trying to reach you. You trying to reach them.
That's it. Show yourself ready.
Yeah, but for everything you said, even going back, see what has happened. The village has left the community. See, when I was coming up, you had men, you had women.
That's right.
Ain't nothing new under the sun.
You're right. That's right.
Because what's been going on is been existing. It's just more in the forefront now. But when you see a gang of boys walking up and grown men go in the house, the village done left.
All right.
Okay, when you get them in the church, First of all, you got to get the parents in the church. Because we're children drive.
Well,
Now watch this.
okay. all
Then
right.
when we get them there, and you hit a key point earlier. Because if there's no youth, you have no future in your church. So the ones that been there, over the period of years, they got to get out of their comfort zone. And you was on point with all of it. And one word we don't start using in the church, and I call it a goat. And a goat is an ignorant. Y'all help me now. Listen, a goat is stubborn and ignorant. Am I right?
Yes.
What's the pronunciation for a goat? A kid. It's power in the tone. Y'all help me in here today, man. See, we don't left off inheritance. See, when I was coming up, grandmama say them children are children. The segregation came in, white folks started calling them the kids. We don't really speak in that. See, if we gonna bring them in, we got to bring them in as children. Not kids, children. And we got to love them. And we got to go meet them at the crossroads. Now watch this. Christianity got to leave the church.
You said got to leave.
You got to leave the church when you leave. And what I mean by that is, you just be holding on Sunday.
The building. Okay.
You got to work through the week. Come on. One thing about the game, listen, I ain't been on this. I was raised up in the church, I left, I started doing things out in the street, but the Bible say train them up in the way they should go. When you get old, you won't depart. Now, everybody in here got a pass.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But don't nobody want to go back and exercise what God has delivered them from.
All right.
See, when we go back and let God deliver us,
Come on now.
see, once you be delivered, then you can go back and say something.
You're right. You're right.
Huh?
That's right.
See, when people growing up, you know, it's been ladies had 9 to 10 children in the house. Children come up to be doctors, lawyers.
That's right.
Why? Because the village was there. And we just got to go back. And even in the church when they come in on Sundays. Because it ain't my grandson or my granddaughter. This little boy struggling, he got an anointing on him. We got to lift them up, grab our children.
Yeah. And you're exactly right. We talk about the village concept. All right. What we have to realize, I think, is that the village may have to look different. The village may have to shift.
We got to.
All right. There's many different kind of versions of what a village can look like. But the base principle of it is that we're here together and we look out for each other. But the village may look different now. All right. Let me move on to this. I think we got about 10 minutes or something like that. What we got to do? Realize their desires, realize their disposition. Because some children look like they may be disrespectful, but they may not be. That's just how they look to us. All right. So yeah, we sometimes we judge them too quick without really stopping and paying attention a little longer to see, oh, you know what, that kid ain't respectful, they're uncomfortable. That kid they're unsure of themselves, and they're in a protective mode because they don't know if they can trust you yet. All right, because there's something about trauma nowadays. All right, this talk of trauma and mental health. All right, young people have been traumatized.
Yeah.
And there are long-lasting effects of trauma. Violence at home, bullying, trying to be accosted by gang members and what, you know what I'm saying? They're scared to death. But they know if they show they're scared, that makes them even more a target. Okay?
Right.
So they gotta find a way to post up and put some kind of guard up that as a teenage or childhood mind, they don't know how to do it smoothly yet. They haven't learned how to really put on the face like us yet. All right? So they may look a certain way to us, but it really may be something else going on inside of them. And we have to take the time to realize what's going on. Struggle and the challenges of youth. Be sympathetic to that. Understand that the church experiences that satisfy young people look different from the church experiences that satisfy adults. Remember I said some people can leave church and say, we had a good time, then others say, what was that? What they were doing in there? I ain't getting nothing out of that. That was, what they were. That was boring. You know what I'm saying? So what we try to focus on is having something for, music loud, hot church, and they sing that board. You know what I'm saying? So I find that some young people like the high praise, some young people don't. So not every child is the same. They're not monolithic.
That's right.
All right? So, some of them like the shout music. Some of them like, I wish they'd stop all that. Some of them like when you get into a hoop, when you tune it up. But some of them like you to just talk and teach.
That's right.
All right?
That's right.
And you think you wrecked the house, and the young people are like, God, man, what we should talk about something else.
Yeah, you be saying, I don't understand.
Yeah. So you have to have something tailored
That's right.
to every kind of person. Make room for things that young people like to do. Now, this is where I get into my list here. Specific things to have for youth in your church. Recreation. They gotta be doing something. All right. Now, we don't do things just for just to be busy. But out of this can come meaningful interaction, engagement. So it needs to be activity in your church. Children need recreation. They need something to do. Something that brings them out of the house and says, I want to go to that.
Right.
All right. They having fun over there. All right. And it's got, notice I said fun factor. They gotta have something that they're having fun with. You don't draw children per se off of spirituality first. You draw us off spirituality because we've been there, done that. Now we want to know the real deal. All right. Talk spiritual to me. So I know you're really talking about something. Young people, they need to know they're going to enjoy themselves first. All right. Now again, they're not all monolithic, not all the same. I got some young people they go straight to the Bible. All right, and we can accommodate all kinds like that. All right. I got some kids who be in class who be like, Pat John, you tell them to hush because I really want to know what the Bible says. All right. And the other kids just goofing off and we're having a good time and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Will you please come on? Can we go on Bible study? All right. So it's you got to know who you dealing with. Having a youth oriented space. All right. I'm gonna pick on this room real quick. All right. Does this look like a place young people want to come and hang out?
No.
All right. No. I ain't knocking this room. I'm just saying for the sake of illustration, right? So I can't have a youth class in here and expect them to really pay attention like y'all are paying attention from being in this room, right? Yeah. I need to make it look a certain kind of way. All right. Now, if you're really good, you keep their attention. All right. But after a while, it still wanes. So if you're talking about having fun, recreation, it needs to look like you're there to do what you're there to do. All right. You're on the back side. Let's run through this here. And this would take people who are savvy, all right? But you got people in your church who can do this. Virtual outlets, meaning social media. Because young people, somebody said, they're on social media. So the concept is go where the fish have gone. Where are the fish? They moved upstream. Well, what you got to do? Go upstream. All right? Go where they are. All right? You may run the risk of looking corny to them, but at least you're where they are. Virtual outlets. I got on my phone right now, I can post about youth stuff to 2 or 3 different social media outlets. I got some on Facebook, Carrie, isn't that right, Carrie?
Yeah.
I got some on Facebook for youth. I got some on Instagram for youth. Am I right, Donnie?
Yes, sir.
I got a Twitter account for young people. I don't post nothing about myself on it. All right? And I try to get young people to help me with content to post on there. Ain't nothing about grown folks on there. All stuff that is supposed to be, that's geared toward engaging youth and young people. Because that's where they are. And that's where there's a term now that says this young generation has church in different places. All right? Because that's meaning that's their version of church. So what does that mean? It's where they get inspiration from. It's where they get, quote unquote, a word from. And this can be anywhere from their friend's house to a club, somewhere where they go and they have poetry night, and they call that's church for them. If something positive and inspirational is said and they express themselves. So what can they get from the church that represents the church where they are? All right? Social media is a main tool to be able to do that. Because I tell you the truth, I see young people, I'll be real, who post they behind out, and then the next post, they'll post some inspirational quote from the Bible, or they saw from somebody else. You know, in my mind, my old and my adult mind, what they do? What? That don't mix, that's all in water. But that's what they do. So I try to make sure I keep inspirational stuff out there that hopefully they'll see that and like it and someone will repost it. All that, you know what I mean when I say repost? Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. Make sure we don't say that. Okay. So you know what I mean?
You there because you can speak their language. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like with a text message. They send a text message. Most of the older adults they can't read that.
You're right.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, right? They in code. They're in code.
Code.
You be like, what is that?
Crack code.
What are you saying? You know
But see, you said something key a minute ago. You gotta have the right people.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna introduce y'all to somebody real quick. Donnie, hold your hand up. All right. This is my successor. I'm moving from youth ministry to young adult ministry. Because I got years of this, they let me teach this class. All right? But he's younger than me. All right. He ain't got no gray hair yet like I do. All right. So he's in our next youth minister at Mount Zion Baptist Church. All right. So it's good to keep fresh young people in that rotation to work with young people. All right. All right. And he can draw people I can't draw. He got a little edge to him. He already work out. Young people be looking at that stuff. They look at this little half pop. Man, he don't know nothing about, you know, he can't, he ain't hard. You know what I'm saying? All right? I mean, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. You know, I'm working on it. But right now, you know, I had to pull the button coat. You know, you got to pull on it a little bit. All right? Patricia help button me up a little bit. All right? So image matters to them and speaking their language. All right? All right? So again, they ain't trying to draw you. You trying to draw them. So how you relate to them? All right? Virtual outlets. All right? And some of these things I won't highlight. We got 2-3 minutes. Number 3, Christian education. That's one third thing we need to have for the youth. When I say Christian education, I mean a few things. Number 1 is truth. Because I had one young person I saw on social media say, you know, people will put a request out there. Hopefully somebody responds to them to give them suggestions. Like, I'm looking for a hairdresser, you know, in search of good barbers in the city. All right. Well, this young person put out there, I'm looking for recommendations for books on spirituality. And my mind was like, baby, you got the Bible, you in church. You know, that's the most spiritual book you can, you know. But they're looking other places for truth. Because in their minds, what they hear or get in church don't cut it. So we have to do a good and better job at speaking truth in their language and divulging things that we may have historically thought was taboo to talk about in church. If you talk to any young person who's been in my class, they'll tell you we talk about anything and everything. And there's no question they cannot ask me. All right? I don't care what it's about. I don't care, when I say I don't care what it's about, I don't care what it's about. I want you to ask me because I want you to get the answers you're looking for. Because if I don't give them to you, you're going to go somewhere else.
The streets gonna give it to you.
And get the wrong answer that you're not mature enough to decipher through to realize this is a bunch of garbage. All right? So, it ain't truth. Why am I going through this? Why does my life have to be like this? I answered that question just yesterday to somebody. And I wasn't scared to answer it. Because we got to be truthful and honest with young people.
That's right.
All right? Christian education, meaningful conversations, address issues that are relevant to them. I think my time is up. But, so you see that. Mentoring, like somebody said, the village, we got to take time. People are like they ain't got time for young people no more. I can't take, oh boy. I ain't gonna tell that. But yeah, it takes, people have to give their time. You have to have people who are willing to give their time to model Christian behavior and all that good stuff, all right? Go down, you see relational needs, safe spaces, they need relatability, they need to have a voice in the church, somewhere that they feel like they can express themselves, show what they see, show their version and perception of what's going on, and yeah, because that helps them feel like they're a part. It provides representation for their generation, and you'll be surprised, you'll get some good ideas from that kind of stuff to help with planning ministry for them, and probably even for other areas in your church that's quote unquote not youth oriented. They might give you a good idea about how to restructure your worship service. Oh yeah. How, you may can take an idea back to the deacons ministry that the young person came up with.
Technology.
Yeah, technology.
That's what they love.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah. All right. Parental engagement, helping parents out, assisting them, supporting them, and the last one I'll say is counseling services. They need more than pray about it. Spiritual talk, jargon, all right? Because there has been an increase. I think I saw a 44% increase in children who reported feelings of sadness and suicidal thoughts during the pandemic and for other reasons, right? The pandemic was a big driver for that, but whatever the reason is, children are experiencing mental health crises. So we need to have services in place, whether it's through our church or knowing other places we can refer them to get some help with their mental state and emotional state. We need to be able to offer them that, because you can't look at somebody and tell how their mental and emotional is really going. All right? You got to spend time with them. And when you spend time to find out things, you got to take the initiative to be able to assist them and refer them to some services, all right? Because there's this phrase now, stop the stigma. Mental health has gotten a bad stigma historically, but I might need some mental attention, mental health attention. I'm a preacher, pastor. I've been talking to folk all the time. Some people think I got it all together. I really don't, because I'm human, and I need some help myself with what's going on in my mind. How to deal with the pressures of life, because it ain't always easy. All right? Good. So young people are facing things and they need help like that. All right? So thank y'all for coming. I hope this has been helpful. Read through that. If you got any questions, I'm at Mount Zion. Please feel free to reach out to me. Okay? And we come in. We're gonna be in prayer for Brother Johnson as he takes up his baton. All right? Those at Mount Zion, y'all be in order. All right? All right? Thank y'all. All right. So you are dismissed. I think somebody was calling me. I wonder if that was one of them. All right. Take your time up. Right. Thank y'all for walking this way. I didn't know what this class was gonna be myself. All right. So,